Myself, Amit Verma, working as assistant professor in the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication at St. Wilfred PG College, Jaipur. Today, I would like to discuss about media research. Media research, we know that media research is the study of the effects of different mass media platforms on their social, psychological, and the physical aspect. And media research is very important and important study because it allows and it brings the new trends in the field, new trends and the new information in the field of mass communication, or we can say the journalism and the mass communication. Introduction. First of all, when hearing the term mass media research for the first time, then many people ask two questions. The first one question, what are the mass media, and the second one question, what types of things do mass media researcher investigate? The term mass media refers to any form of communication, or and it is not limited to electronic media and the print media like radio, television, newspaper, magazines, films, books, internet. It is not limited to any of the platform. It is mass media is very vast field in the field of communication. Media research investigations think like, what do viewers like most and like least about their favorite local TV program? Why is a current TV program not performing as well as was anticipated? How effective advertising on TV, radio, and the internet, and in the all types of print media? Which advertisements do readers see most often in their local newspaper, or you can say in their social media page? And the why are newspaper subscription declining? The COVID-19, the pandemic, when the COVID-19 pandemic arrived at India, one misinformation is floating on our social media platforms that newspaper is spreading coronavirus. After that, the media houses owners and the organizers given the explanation about the newspapers that newspapers is not spreading coronavirus. Now the question arises, what is research? Research is an attempt to discover something, and research can be formal and informal in both of you, in the both of the terms. Sorry, it can be formal when the researcher follows the highly defined and procedures and the steps. And if you are not following the procedure and the steps, or if you are not having any specific plans about your research, then it is called informal. The lack of exacting procedures in the informal research does not mean that our approach is incorrect, and the use of exacting procedures does not automatically make formal research. Both the research approach can be good or bad. It depends on how the research is conducted. These are the daily life examples we can relate to research. First, like decide which clothes to put on ourselves or someone others that are appropriate for the day's activities. Select something to eat for breakfast. Decide when to leave the house for reach your destination on the time. Figure out the most direct route to your destinations. Decide when to move to the side and the road if you are an emergency siren. These are the our day-to-day daily life practical examples which we are thinking in our mind. Next is why learn research method, because research method The reason is that are good ways to attempt to discover something, and there are not so good ways to attempt to discover something. Even if you do not plan your research strategy or design, or if you become a professional researcher, it is important to learn the best way to collect information and analyze it, because we have so many information about the research. And the basic question arise, like two basic questions again arise at a beginning researcher must learn to answer: how to use research method and statistical procedure. And the second one is when to use research method and statistical procedure. So first, how and when, two are the question. An important remark: in media research, mass media researchers should spend time in learning what to do with the research method, not how they work. First, we have to learn, observe, analyze. After that, we can think for how they work. This is the research phases in mass media. First phase, the medium itself. The second phase, usage and users of the medium. The third phase is saying effects of the medium, and the fourth phase is saying how the medium can be improved. The first phase, the first phase interest is in media itself. What is it? How does it work? What technology does it involve? How it is similar? What functions or services does it provide? Who will have access to the new medium, and how much will it cost? In media, we have like one another term, 5W plus 1H, but now here we have 1 2 3 4 4W and 3H. Development of mass media research phase 2. Specific information is collected about the uses and users. How do people use the medium in real life? Do they use it for information only, or to save time or entertainment? Do children use it? What gratification does the new medium people? What other types of information and entertainment does the new medium replace? Were original projections about the use of the medium correct? And what usages are evident other than those that were predicted from initial research? So this is the phase 2 of our mass media research. It is based also on the uses and gratification communication theory. Phase 3 includes investigations of the social, psychological and physical effects of the medium. Earlier I also said that mass media research is also is based on the social, psychological and the physical effects of the different media platforms. In the phase 3, how much time to spend with the medium? Does it change people's perspective? Users of the medium want and expect to hear or what see? Are there any harmful effects related to using the medium? Can the medium be combined with other media or technology to make it even more useful? And the fourth phase is to research is conducted to determine how the medium can be improved, because mass media research is the study, and it again I am saying that it brings out the new trends and the relevant information again and again in the field of mass media and mass communication. Can the medium provide information or entertainment to more types of people? How can new technology be used to perfect or enhance the sight, or we can say sound of the medium? Is there a new way to change the content to be more valuable or entertaining? So these are the 4 phases of mass media research, and be remember that research is a never ending process, because research word is also comprise itself in the re plus search research. It is a never ending process. and in the most intense research project or study designed to answer one series of questions produce a new set of questions no one thought of before, and the failure to reach closure may be troublesome to some people and sometimes, but it is the essential nature of research. These are the examples we can also say, like research question: why do viewers select one television programs over another? Which section of the newspaper do people read most often, like the sports page, the city pages, the entertainment page, the uh, hard news? Which sections of the newspaper the people read most often? Which types of magazines covers attract the most readers? Which what type of radio format will attract? Which websites attract the most visitors? Which type of advertising are most effective in the communicating message to consumers? These are the research questions examples. And now it is the research process. The first step is saying select a problem, select a research problem. After that, review existing research and theory, review of literature. It is saying in the other form, review of literature. Then we have to develop hypothesis or research question or objective. Determine an appropriate methodology or research design based on our study and the problem of the statement. And after that, we have to collect relevant data, analyze and presents the results in the appropriate form and replicate the study. So this is the process of research. And the first one is the selecting a research topic. First we have to identify the research problem, and after that we have to select a research topic. Selecting a topic is a concern for many beginning researchers. However, especially for those writing the research paper, thesis, dissertations, and many more. And the problem is knowing where to start first. Every time the beginner researcher and some other persons are thinking in the mind uh, how to start and from where I can start my research. Uh, the problem is knowing where to start. Fortunately, many sources are available for research topic, because now the problem we can Google some academic journal, periodical journals, news weeklies, and any other library. Professional journals, we have so many professional journal in the form of academic research journal are the excellent sources of information. The article provides ideas for research topics. We can serve the academia, researchgate, JSTOR, and the some other open access journal also. Magazine and periodicals also we can recommend for our research. Highly trained communication professionals write articles for weekly and the monthly publications such as the Time and the Newsweek. These articles provide interesting perspective on the also the complexing problems in the field of communication, and the many times it is raising interesting questions that media researcher can pursue. Research summaries, some periodical publish summaries that provide a closer look at the major research area. And the summaries are also often useful for the obtaining relevant information about our research topic. And the summaries are also called meta research. These are the some studies like television and human behavior by George Comstock and others. This is a book published in the 1978. Media Effects and Society in 2001. Milestone in the Mass Communication Research by Sharon Lowry and the Melvin DeFleur in 1985. The other one is the archive data. It is also known as the secondary data. In the research we have two type of data. The first one is primary and the second one is secondary. It may be used to investigate the questions different from those the data were originally intended to address. And the process of using the historical data is also called the secondary analysis. And the secondary analysis provides an opportunity for the researcher to evaluate otherwise unavailable data. Primary analysis, the problems in the primary analysis. Ideally, every researcher should conduct a research project or the study of some magnitude to learn about the design, the data collection, and about the analysis procedure. As research is too expensive, so ideal situation does not exist, and survey methodology has become so complex because it is rare to find one researcher who is an expert in the all phases of the large studies, and in the form of quantitative and the qualitative. The methodology of quantitative survey methodology is more flexible, and it is so popular. And the quantitative analysis, it deals with the number and the statisticians, and the other one methodology is qualitative deals with the experience, the observations, and many more. And qualitative methodology is allowed to us to more collect the data about their background, history, in-depth research. Advantage of secondary analysis: secondary data is inexpensive because it is we have to collect it from their journals, websites, their magazines, their websites, and many more resources. It does not require questionnaire or measurement instruments. No data collection cost. All through novices researcher can learn much from the developing questionnaire and also conducting a research project or the study using a small and the unrepresentative sampling subjects. But it is important to note that the data collected for a study is never completely analyzed in just one analysis. Unfortunately, procedure is not universally accepted. It depends on it differs on the different universe and the population. These are the disadvantages of the secondary analysis. It limited only to types of the hypothesis or the research questions that can be answered with the help of available data. No guarantee of data quality, because sometimes we usually trust the sources, but here in the secondary analysis there is no guarantee. Most of the times there is no information on research design, sampling procedure, and etc. Sampling procedures, we have so many types of sampling procedure, but we have two types of sampling. First one is probability and non-probability, and there is so many types of procedure and the design, like random sampling, quota sampling, snowball sampling. These are the many sampling methods. Literature review help the researcher to answer following important question: what type of research has been done already in the area, what has been found in the previous studies, what suggestions do other researcher make for further study, and what has not been investigated yet. How can the proposed study add to our knowledge of the area, and what research method were used in previous study. So it is very important to do literature of review, and it is very helpful for a researcher. Now the next is stating a hypothesis or research question with the help of literature review. Literature review help to define a specific hypothesis or the question. The hypothesis or research question must be workable first, and in the formal statement regarding the relationship, there is no relationship between, there is a relationship between, this type of formal statement is required. Research questions are appropriate when a researcher is unsure about the nature of the problem or nature of the study. Testable hypotheses are often developed from the information gathered during the research question phase of the study. After that, we have to do data analysis and interpretation. The time and effort required for data analysis and interpretation depends on the study's approach and the methodology used. Data analysis is the performed keeping in view the objective of a study, objective, or we can say the research question of the study, and then results obtained from the data analysis are interpreted to answer the research question. Researcher must ask two questions. First one, are the research results internally and externally valid, and are the results accurate? Internal validity, we can say it is like in control over research condition is necessary to enable are the researcher to rule out the plausible but incorrect explanation of the research. Like the presence of an artifact indicates a lack of internal validity. And examples of internal validity, like suppose the researcher discovered through a study that children who view television for extended periods have lower CGPA in their school than children who watch only a limited amount of TV. This is the our internal validity. Now we can come for artifact. It may be that children who view favored parts of television also receive parental help with their schoolwork also, and the parental help may be the reason for the difference in CGPA between the two groups. So it is an example of internal validity. And the external validity, we can say it refers to how well the results of the study can be generalized across first population settings and time. External validity can be seriously affected by the interaction in the analysis of variables such as first one is subject, instrumentants, and experimental conditions. Most procedures used to guard against the external invalidity relate to sample selections. Like earlier also I told that we have two types of sampling. Now here the first random sampling. First one is use random sample. Second is heterogeneous sample and replicate the study. Select a sample that is representative of the group to which the results will be generalized. Now conduct research over a long period of a time. Random sampling, I am 1 minute. Here I am telling about only random sampling. A random sample means that everyone from the population has an equal chance of being selected for the research study. Using random sampling rather than convenience or available sample allows research to gather information from a variety of subjects rather than the many who share similar attitudes like opinion, attitudes, lifestyle, these types of opinions. Random sampling is very popular because it is allow and has given a equal chance in the our population. Now the final step is findings and conclusion. Findings and conclusion, the principal outcomes of a research study or what the study suggested, revealed, or indicated. And after that, the result section of the research based upon the information we have gathered as a result of the methodology you applied. Earlier I also told that quantitative and qualitative, we have two types of methodology. The results section should simply state the findings without biasness or interpretations, and also it can arrange in a logical sequence. Next and last, references or bibliography. it is also very important, because referencing allows referencing allows us to acknowledge the contribution of the other writers and researcher in your work, because we have to study that review of literature, and now here the chance for referencing, or we can say acknowledge the contribution of the other writers. And bibliography, by citing the work of a particular scholar, you acknowledge in your study and respect them to the intellectual property rights of that researcher. So references and bibliography is very important in our study, and it is most relevant section in our project or study. So I hope you like the today's topic. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.